Готов?
Не могу.
Как тебе мини-путешествие?
Mini trip.
Мини-трip,
It's great. We take a couple of days, get together with people you don't know, go out on the water, and you begin to forget about all the other things at work. You forget about all the other things you have to take care of back home, and you just focus on the ocean, the sea, the boat, the wind, the waves, and it gives you this kind of like routine, this new routine that occupies your mind, and it's like a meditation. I was saying last night that it's something that you can't really pay for. It's not like you go to a cruise, you're not going to like a resort. It's something that you earn this sort of enjoyment by participating. And at the same time you pick up like new skills and you just see traveling in a different perspective.
Было интересно, были ли какие-то моменты, когда было страшно, хотелось домой?
I think the first 15 minutes you want to go home because you realize that your world is completely different for that moment. When you go from the land where everything's stable and you sit on the boat and everything is rocking back and forth, I think in the first 15 minutes you have to adapt and you begin to accept this new reality that you're inside of, where you know all of your cups and glasses are tipping over, you're trying to cook coffee on the stove and everything's falling over, and it becomes this kind of ridiculous moment, but you learn how to go with the flow. And as the boat keeps on going, you begin to like gain your sea legs, as it is, and after you have your sea legs, everything becomes normal and stable. And I think it just takes that first day, and after that first day you just find this rhythm, and you begin to feel the ocean, and you feel like you can go as long as you want.
Это парусный яхтинг в Испании, это новый опыт для тебя или?
Yeah, it was my first time doing yachting in Spain, especially in the Mediterranean. I did it in the United States before, I did it in Egypt before, sometimes in Southeast Asia, but never in Europe. And I think it was a really interesting experience because there's so much culture and history on each of the different islands that we go to. So when we visit these islands, people go and plan specific vacations just to these islands, and they stay there for like 1 week, you know, and we accomplish what people would see in 1 week in 1 day. And we go for one island and then we hop to the next island, and it exposes you to so much, and at the same time you're putting so much energy into the trip itself when you're raising the sail and then you're changing and tacking to the other side, or you're switching back to the motor. You get so much more experience out of it than if you would just travel by airplane and just arrive at one island and just sit there.
За эту неделю можешь что-то отметить такое самое-самое интересное, красивое, новое?
Yeah, I think you're like, it's a house. It feels like it's a house that's moving on the water. And when you finally get behind the wheel and you take control of it, and you're steering this just massive piece of architecture, and you have like 15 people on the boat, it's a lot of responsibility, but a lot of power like behind your hands. I think that's one moment that's really impressive. I think the other moment is you just have this adrenaline and rhythm of constantly moving, and one day you wake up and it's completely calm outside and the sun is rising, there's breakfast on the table, and you're totally at peace. You're far away from everything that you know, and I think that's the moment that is so enjoyable, because you can't reach that moment through a hotel. You can't reach that moment through a cruise. You can only reach that moment from fighting with the wind and fighting with the water, and for several days with different people, you know, trading responsibilities, and finally you reach this moment where it's just, you wake up and it's total peace. And the contrast of the action with that moment is really beautiful.